All right, so welcome to the last lesson on Unit 3, and this is called inverses. So the inverse, we've known what this word is before, we've heard it. The inverse of addition is subtraction. The inverse of multiplication is division, right? These are opposites of each other. The inverse of division is multiplication, right? The inverse of exponents are something called logs, which we did before. So the 3 is called our base. The base goes on the bottom. The answer to a log is our exponent, so our 2 goes on the other side of the equal sign, and then 9 goes next to the 3. So the way that we say this is log base 3 of 9 is equal to 2. And basically what these are just is putting the 3, the 2, and the 9 in different spaces to figure out what it is that we want. All right, so basically what we do when we're finding the inverse, all you do algebraically is switch the x and the y, and then check and see if the answers work, and if not, solve for y. Okay, so we'll go through an algebraic problem in a second. Graphically, what it means is we have this line right here called y equals x, and inverses are reflected over that line. So for example, this first line in blue is the line y equals x squared. And if I were to reflect it over the line y equals x, which is the straight line that is in green, then the inverse is going to look like this line in red, okay? And the equation, the opposite of square is square root, so y equals the square root of x is going to be the equation of that function that's in red. All right, so again, we'll go through this in a little bit more detail. Now let's go through and do this algebraically, right? So it says find the inverse of the function. So we have y equals 2x squared plus 3. So remember what we said, right? Switch the x's and the y's. So here we have a y, we're going to switch it to x. So x equals, the 2 is going to stay, that's neither an x nor a y. The x is going to become a y, squared is going to stay plus 3. So right now, you could say that we just found the inverse. So step 1 is done. We switch the x and the y. And then step 2 is we're going to solve for the y. We're going to get the y by itself. So to do that, let me go ahead and just switch the color right here. Let's get the y by itself by subtracting 3. Get rid of that adding, subtracting first. So we have x minus 3 is equal to 2y squared. We're going to save that squared, get rid of that after. Let's divide both sides by 2 first. And now we have x minus 3 over 2 is equal to y squared. And like we talked about, the opposite of a square is a square root. So now we do the square root of the right and the square root of the left. So we get y is equal to the square root of x minus 3 over 2. And this is both answers, a positive and a negative. So this is our answer for the inverse, okay? Model problem number 2, it says find the inverse of the function. So f of x is the same thing as y. So we have y equals x over x plus 3. So we're going to do our same first step, right? We're going to switch our x's and the y's. So let me go ahead and switch the color so you can see that I've done it. So our y is going to become x is equal to, our x is going to become a y, the y is going to become, the x is going to become a y on the bottom. So now we got the inverse, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the y by itself. So we can cross multiply here, or multiply both sides by y plus 3. So let's go ahead and follow the steps that I wrote. Multiply by y plus 3. And what does that allow us to do? Okay, cancels that out. So now I have distributive property here. X times y is xy plus 3 times x is 3x is equal to, all right, y is by itself on the right hand side. And what we have to do is we have to move all the y's over to one side. So let's do minus xy minus xy. That allows us to cancel this out. So we have 3x is equal to y minus xy. And then what we're going to do is we see y here, right? And also here. So let's factor out a y. So we have 1 minus x is equal to 3x, right? And then we're going to get the y by itself by dividing both sides by 1 minus x. Divide by 1 minus x, cancels, cancels, and we have y is equal to 3x over 1 minus x. There is our function, okay? Um, so then I'm asking you to go ahead and find the inverse. This is our check for understanding. So do the check for understanding, show me, and then you can go on to the delta math questions. All right, good job.